This is the story of how an international syndicate turned hundreds of thousands of innocent job seekers into digital predators. The text messages seem perfectly normal at first. A lonely divorced father in Ohio receives a message from an attractive woman on Tinder. Over 6 months, they build a deep emotional connection, discussing their children, their fears, and their future together. She drinks coffee by the ocean, sending daily photo updates. He trusts her entirely. Then comes the investment advice. Within days, his life savings of $400,000 vanish into a fraudulent crypto platform, and the woman disappears completely. Most people naturally hate the person on the other side of that screen. The person sending those romantic morning texts did not live in a luxury penthouse. They sat locked inside a fortified concrete compound in Myanmar, chained to a desk for 16 hours a day. Armed guards patrolled the dirty hallways, enforcing a strict daily financial extraction quota on every single laborer. If the worker failed to steal enough money from Western victims, they faced immediate physical punishment. This orchestrated psychological warfare operates under the name pig butchering, a highly systematized fraud factory running entirely on human trafficking. The scale of this operation eclipses anything law enforcement has seen before. The perpetrators controlling these networks built impenetrable fortresses across Southeast Asia, completely insulated from international authorities. Captive laborers stare at their glowing monitors, forced to choose between ruining an innocent person's financial life or enduring severe beatings in a basement holding cell. By the end of 2024, cryptocurrency fraud stripped $12.4 billion from victims globally. These staggering numbers only tell half the story. The syndicates controlling these compounds generate so much illicit wealth that fraudulent activities now comprise nearly 40% of the combined gross domestic product of Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. Entire regional economies began depending entirely on forced labor to survive. United Nations investigators tracked over 200,000 individuals trafficked into these regional scam centers by early 2026. The financial infrastructure relies purely on a steady supply of trapped human beings, turning human slavery into a highly optimized digital export. Regional warlords protect these massive criminal hubs, taking a large percentage of the stolen crypto assets in exchange for military-grade security that keeps the workers locked inside. Criminal organizations do not recruit these workers from the underworld. They target desperate, highly educated professionals looking for legitimate employment. A tech worker in Manila spots a Facebook advertisement for a high-paying data entry position in Thailand, while an actor in Beijing receives an invitation for a lucrative commercial shoot in Dubai. Recruiters scatter these fabricated opportunities across legitimate job boards, offering paid flights, signing bonuses, and luxury accommodations. Targeted individuals pack their bags, kiss their families goodbye, and board commercial flights completely unaware of their actual destination. The promise of a better life blinds them to the tiny inconsistencies in the hiring process. Reality fractures the moment they land in a foreign country. They expect a corporate representative to guide them to a luxury hotel, but they find something entirely different waiting for them at the airport. Handlers wait at the arrival gates, holding signs with the victims' names. The atmosphere shifts instantly once the victims enter the waiting vehicles. Drivers immediately confiscate their passports, claiming local visa processing requires the physical documents. Smugglers transport the terrified recruits through dense jungle routes, illegally crossing the border into regions controlled by rebel militias. In late 2025, an aspiring Chinese actor named Wang Xing believed he was traveling to Thailand for an audition. Smugglers instead forced him into a heavily armored vehicle, shaved his head, and drove him directly to a lawless border town in Myanmar. The captives watched the city lights fade away, replaced by dirt roads and heavily armed checkpoints. They realized their freedom evaporated the second they handed over their identification. KK Park in Myawaddy stands as one of the most notorious technology parks in the region. These facilities function as monolithic mini-cities, complete with crowded dormitories, cafeterias, and massive security walls topped with electrified wire. The new arrivals step out of transport vans and immediately receive their assigned workstations. Armed supervisors inform them that they now owe an insurmountable debt for their travel expenses, food, and lodging. The only way to pay off this fabricated debt involves running multiple fake dating profiles simultaneously for 16 hours a day. Captives realize immediately that they will not leave the compound until they steal enough money from strangers to buy their own freedom. Guards confiscate their personal phones, strip them of their original identities, and hand them a manual detailing the exact psychological scripts they must use to extract wealth. Operations inside the factory rely on a strict three-phase psychological playbook designed by behavioral experts. Cartel bosses call this process Sha Zhu Pan, translating directly to pig butchering. Phase 1 focuses entirely on finding targets across the globe. Captive workers send thousands of wrong number texts every single day, hoping just one lonely person replies. A simple message asking a supposed tour guide for directions acts as the perfect bait. When the target politely corrects the mistake, the worker immediately shifts into friendly conversation. They use stolen photo galleries of attractive individuals to create a flawless illusion of a successful, wealthy professional looking for friendship. Strict manuals dictate exact responses to common questions, ensuring the captive worker never breaks character while establishing the initial foundation of trust with the unsuspecting target. Building trust requires more than just text messages. The second phase involves fattening the target over weeks or even months. Trafficked laborers cannot ask for money during this period. They act instead as virtual therapists, learning every vulnerability their target possesses. They listen to painful stories about bad marriages, financial stress, and deep-seated loneliness. By 2025, this manipulation reached terrifying new levels. Criminal cartels integrated advanced AI tools, fueling a 1,500% increase in deepfake video fraud across the Asia-Pacific region. The captive worker sits in a dark, noisy room, while a real-time AI filter projects a beautiful woman or handsome businessman onto the victim's video call. This technological leap destroyed the old advice of simply asking for a video chat to verify someone's identity. The victim sees exactly what the cartel wants them to see. If you are finding value in this breakdown of the hidden forces shaping our digital world, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We investigate massive operations like this every single week, and your support helps expose these stories to a wider audience. Now, we will look at the terrifying toll this takes on the captives inside the compounds. These captive workers form genuine, albeit twisted, emotional bonds with the people they are forced to deceive. They spend holidays messaging their targets, learning the names of their grandchildren, and discussing their deepest fears. The psychological damage rips the laborers apart. Every captive knows exactly how much devastation they will soon cause to an innocent family in Ohio or London. But refusal carries a terrifying price. Supervisors enforce strict daily extraction quotas by monitoring every single chat log. Workers who fail to progress the scam face immediate and brutal physical punishment in basement holding cells. Victims endure starvation, severe sleep deprivation, and systematic beatings with heavy batons. The captive must actively choose between destroying a stranger's life savings or facing extreme physical torment at the hands of their captors. Complete trust eventually forms, which triggers the final phase of the operation. Captive workers casually mention a massive return on a recent cryptocurrency investment. They offer to teach their new online partner exactly how the financial system works. An initial target invests a small amount, perhaps $1,000, and watches the rigged application show immediate profits. Success with early withdrawals cements their absolute faith in the digital platform. Handlers then pressure the victim to liquidate retirement savings, take out second mortgages, and borrow heavily from family members. When the massive final deposit clears the blockchain, the syndicate drains the account completely. Guards then force the weeping worker to block the target forever, erasing months of fabricated emotional connection in a single keystroke. The stolen funds vanish into a maze of untraceable digital wallets. Financial tracking of these syndicates reveals a dark secondary market operating in the shadows. The organizations actually buy and sell the captive workers among themselves based purely on their scamming performance. Cryptocurrency transactions linked directly to human trafficking networks surged by 85% throughout 2025. Syndicates use these decentralized digital assets to purchase high-performing workers from rival gangs or demand exorbitant ransoms from the victims' families back home. A worker failing to meet quotas might suddenly find themselves bound, thrown into a truck, and sold to an even more violent compound located deeper in the jungle. The human being simply becomes another depreciating asset on a blockchain ledger. This shadow economy moves hundreds of millions of dollars entirely outside the reach of traditional banking regulations and international law enforcement. Survival ultimately requires planning an impossible escape. The captive worker lives under constant surveillance, with supervisors monitoring every keystroke and tracking their physical movement through the compound. The very tools they use to defraud Westerners offer a tiny, dangerous window to the outside world. Workers occasionally risk their lives by secretly messaging international rescue organizations using their heavily monitored scamming phones. They memorize precise GPS coordinates, photograph the compound layouts during shift changes, and send encrypted messages to groups like the International Justice Mission. One wrong click, or a supervisor glancing at the screen at the wrong moment, guarantees severe retaliation. The laborers must maintain their perfect scammer persona during the day, while secretly operating as digital informants late at night, hoping someone receives their distress signal. Executing the actual escape requires incredible precision and immense luck. Rescue organizations must coordinate silently with local informants and uncorrupted military officials to plan midnight extraction raids. Sometimes the workers cannot wait for external help and must take matters entirely into their own hands. They bribe local guards with their meager food rations or wait for security cameras to fail during heavy monsoon rain power outages. Desperate captives throw themselves out of second-story windows, scale the razor wire fences, and sprint blindly into the surrounding jungle. They must navigate unmarked minefields and evade heavily armed tracking patrols while racing frantically toward the Thai border. Getting caught outside the compound walls usually results in fatal retaliation from the guards, serving as a brutal warning to the remaining workers. Intense international pressure on these compounds finally started fracturing the entire system in late 2025. Authorities launched a massive coordinated raid against a primary facility in Myanmar, sparking absolute chaos across the region. Over 1,500 captive laborers triggered a spontaneous mass flight response, overwhelming the armed guards and fleeing across the shallow river border into Thailand. Videos of this chaotic mass exodus flooded international news networks, finally exposing the horrifying reality hidden behind the romantic text messages. The world suddenly understood that the person stealing their life savings was literally fighting a daily battle for their own survival. The raid proved that these impenetrable fortresses could actually fall, giving a glimmer of hope to the hundreds of thousands still trapped inside. Those lucky enough to escape crossed the border with nothing but the clothes on their backs and severe psychological trauma. Repatriation takes months, as victims must prove to their home governments that they were trafficked rather than willing participants in an international crime syndicate. Organizations work tirelessly to provide safe housing, medical care, and intense psychological counseling to the survivors. The trauma of being forced to financially ruin innocent people haunts the escapees long after they return home. Escapees suffer from severe night terrors, remembering the brutal beatings and the faces of the people they scammed. While law enforcement continues freezing cartel assets, the syndicates simply move their operations deeper into unregulated territories, building new compounds and tricking a fresh wave of desperate job seekers. The pig butchering epidemic represents a flawless trap where criminal syndicates force one set of victims to completely destroy another. Every time someone ignores a suspicious message from a stranger, they deny these organizations the funds they use to enslave thousands of people. Starving these operations of capital remains the most effective weapon against human trafficking. Education stops the cycle entirely, protecting both your life savings and the freedom of innocent workers overseas. If this breakdown changed how you view these digital encounters, subscribe to the channel for more investigations into the unseen forces shaping our world.